Hi, I'm Elizabeth Massie. I'm one of the contributors to the charity anthology, The Dystopian States of America, edited by Matt Bechtel. I'm going to read the opening to my story, which is entitled Scarves. The antique clock on the wall out in the guards' corridor is shaped like a dog. A cartoon dog, but a dog nonetheless. It is black with huge white eyes that move back and forth, counting the seconds as its tail wags in time. I like to look at the dog's face. It's fascinating, with its big toothy grin. I can't tell if it's a happy grin or a grimace. It doesn't really matter. There's emotion there. Invisible emotion is a magical, fascinating thing. I have music playing in my mind. Elegy by Gabriel Fauré. I can't remember the first time I heard it, but it's been in my heart ever since I was arrested. It was the song I was listening to when they came for me. They don't play music in this dark place. I believe they prefer the sound of silent despair and the shuffling of anxious, pacing feet. Back and forth, like the clock dog's eyes. My daughter is Ellen. My grandchildren are Cecilia and Devon and Robert. I am a scarf maker. I was a scarf maker. I pace. I look at the clock dog. Elegy begins again. I sit and fold my hands and remember the first scarf I made. I was taking care of my grandchildren. Ellen was down in the pits, working her 12-hour shift. Beside the front door was a bag of clothes that Cecilia and Devon had outgrown. The clothes would be taken to the municipal furnace. I dug around in the bag and pulled out the softest, most colorful little outfits. I snipped them apart, cutting in the cloth into strips and squares and triangles. Then I sewed the pieces together in a random pattern that made me think of a stained-glass window. Red and gold, blue, a swath of silver, a patch of green. I held it up when I was finished, and I'd made a scarf. I gave it to 4-year-old Cecilia, who at first didn't know what to do with it, but threw it up so high that it floated down around her like a clump of soft falling leaves. She did that time and again, running in and out from beneath the drifting scarf, giggling. Devon watched from his little foam chair, chuckling and bouncing. Laughter sounds quite different from when I was a child. Voices are different all around. It's the shape of the mouths. My early scarves were so cheerful and bright that friends began asking for them, then friends of my friends, and then strangers. Can I buy a scarf for my dad? He's really sad, and I know one would pep him up. My daughter would love one of your scarves. Her birthday's coming. I want a scarf for my sister. They're so pretty. Pretty. A word rarely used, a word carefully used. A thing can be deemed pretty, a sunset, or a flower, or a beach. It's illegal to call a person pretty, however. I made and sold many scarves, buying cheap blouses and shirts at the discount store, or swiping them from the bins outside the furnace, tearing them apart and stitching the scraps together to create random designs that struck me at a particular moment. Some scarves were short and wrapped once around the neck. Others were quite long and could envelop the hair, the neck, and the shoulders. It was such an ancient art, sewing. I brought in an income for my family, and that was good. Seeing people out on the streets in my scarves made me happy, and that was even better. There's a scream in the cell next to mine. It dissolves into a whimper. I get up and I pace like the clock's dog's eyes, back and forth, back and forth. Over time, the designs of my scarves began to change. The more I experimented with the colors and shapes, random shapes became wildflowers or willow trees. Some became sunsets or ocean waves. Pretty. Back and forth, back and forth. The cell next to mine grows silent. I taught little Cecilia how to cut and stitch. She became my assistant, and it made her very happy. I saw the smile in her eyes, but not, of course, on her face. Once her little hand shuddered, and she pierced the fabric with the scissors and created a rip. She gasped and drew back. I told her it was all right. I held the cloth up to my face and peeked through the gash. We both laughed. That gave us a new idea. We began to fashion scarves with eye holes. This allowed people to wear the scarves draped over their faces. It was cheerful seeing people on the street who were looking back at me through wildflowers, willow trees, and ocean waves. It wasn't intentional at first, creating scarves that looked like faces. There might have been an accidental hint of a nose within a pattern, or a suggestion of a mouth or eyebrows or dimples. Yet those scarves became the most popular, and so Cecilia and I made more of them, this time consciously crafting scarves with human features. Some indicated smiles, some expressions of surprise or wonderment or confidence. I didn't know they'd be against the law. They were lovely, they were pretty, but they were just things. That was my defense in court. Hear me, these are just things. They heard me. It didn't matter. Cecilia was taken from her mother to be re-educated. I was arrested. 3 months locked behind glass and steel in this place of shadows and fear. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the story, and I definitely hope you'll enjoy, and I know you'll enjoy, the anthology, The Dystopian States of America. Thanks for listening.